Demi Moore has finally revealed the real reason she left Bruce Willis. For over 20 years, the world thought it was the usual Hollywood story: clashing schedules, too much fame, maybe even cheating. But here's what nobody's talking about. The real betrayal wasn't another woman, it was psychological. A moment so crushing that Demi was forced to choose between saving her marriage or saving herself. And every woman who's ever been asked to play small for her partner will understand exactly why Demi finally walked away.
You used to be such a happy-go-lucky guy. I'm very happy-go-lucky.
The story you're about to hear isn't just about one of Hollywood's most glamorous marriages. It's about the hidden power struggle that turned their fairy tale romance into a battlefield. And when you see the receipts from Demi's own memoir, you'll understand why their divorce wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning of her freedom. But what Bruce said to Demi at the height of her success, words she's only revealed years later, will change how you see their entire marriage. Because sometimes the most expensive lesson in love isn't about money at all, it's about dignity. To understand the end, you have to go back to the fairy tale beginning, because their love story was genuine, which makes what happened later even more heartbreaking. It was 1987. Bruce Willis was the swaggering star of Moonlighting, about to become the world's biggest action hero with Die Hard. Demi Moore was a talented member of the Brat Pack, making waves in films like St. Elmo's Fire. They met at a movie premiere, and the chemistry was instant. Within 4 months, they were married in a spontaneous Las Vegas ceremony. In her memoir, Inside Out, Demi remembers Bruce turning to her at the Golden Nugget Hotel and saying, "I think we should get married," and what had been a joke suddenly felt deadly serious. It looked like a fairy tale.
It just seemed like it didn't matter, that we loved each other so much.
But in that hotel room, Bruce also revealed something that would come back years later as their greatest conflict. Hollywood was obsessed. They weren't just actors. They were an institution, gracing every magazine cover. They quickly started a family, welcoming Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah. To the outside world, they had it all. A ranch in Idaho, 3 beautiful daughters, and 2 careers, shooting into the stratosphere. They were a global phenomenon, the walking embodiment of the 90s dream, but beneath the perfect facade, the very foundations of that dream were starting to crack for a reason no one on the outside could have ever guessed. Tiny cracks no one could see. The first cracks in their marriage didn't come from a dramatic event, but from a slow, creeping pressure, the very thing that made them a power couple. Their careers also began to pull them apart. As they filmed blockbusters around the world, they found themselves living separate lives. But the problem ran much deeper than just scheduling conflicts. It was a clash over what they fundamentally wanted. According to Demi's own account in her memoir, she revealed a core tension. After their kids were born, she was eager to work, but Bruce had a different vision. Demi wrote that he wanted her to be a traditional stay-at-home mom, and that he'd tell her, "This is never going to work if you're off shooting a film."
Demi describes Bruce as being, quote, tormented by his ambivalence about being married.
All of my other relationships prepared me for this one.
Demi told ET about eloping after just 4 months of dating.
What was the rush to tie the knot? I don't know, it didn't seem like, there was no rush. We had sort of talked about it laughingly and it just seemed okay.
She says after giving birth to their oldest daughter, Rumor, Bruce wanted her to put her career on hold and be a stay-at-home mom, but she was driven to work.
This wasn't a simple disagreement. It was a battle of ideologies brewing behind closed doors. Every woman watching who's ever been told to choose between her career and her family knows exactly how Demi felt. According to relationship psychologists, this exact conflict, career ambition versus traditional family roles, is one of the leading causes of marital tension among high-achieving couples. Demi wasn't just a movie star, she was a trailblazer. After she starred in Ghost, her career exploded. She followed it with hits like A Few Good Men and Indecent Proposal, becoming a powerhouse in her own right. And according to Demi's memoir, this was tough for Bruce to handle. Demi later admitted she felt Bruce was becoming controlling, while she described herself as feeling rebellious. Her ambition, once a source of mutual pride, was now being framed as a threat to their family. The public saw only the glamour, but the real battle lines were being drawn in their home. Her career was taking off, her family was growing, but according to Demi, what Bruce said during her biggest triumph would devastate her more than any tabloid headline ever could. And those words would shake her confidence in their entire marriage. As the 90s went on, the whispers about their marriage grew into a roar. The conflicting schedules story was drowned out by rampant speculation about infidelity. The world became obsessed with cheating rumors. Tabloids at the time went into a frenzy, splashing headlines like "Inside Hollywood's Open Marriage Scandal," "Chasing a Ghost Story," and painting a picture of a marriage collapsing under temptation and mistrust. Headlines screamed about affairs and betrayal. But Demi's own daughters would later say that wasn't the real story, but those headlines were just a distraction, because the real betrayal was happening inside their home. This narrative was supercharged by Bruce Willis himself, and then Bruce gave one interview that changed everything. Have you ever felt pressure to give up your dreams for family? Demi did, and it almost broke her. The world was so focused on the cheating rumors, they completely missed the real psychological warfare happening behind closed doors. Their joint statement in 1998 announced their separation, citing their careers as the reason, a clean, media-friendly explanation for a messy split. But for Demi, this public story was a huge oversimplification. The rumors and interview sound bites were just symptoms of a much deeper problem. The world thought they knew the story, but they were only seeing a distraction. The real disease was a psychological poison that had been spreading for years, and the final blow wouldn't come from a tabloid, but from Bruce himself. In a now infamous 1996 Playboy interview, Bruce mused aloud about monogamy, stating, "What is the impulse? The impulse is to procreate, procreate, procreate." The tabloids at the time treated it like a confession, fueling the fire that their marriage was effectively an open one. For years, this became the accepted, if tragic, story. It sounded like a confession, but it was what Bruce told Demi privately that truly broke her. But as shocking as that was, it still wasn't the worst betrayal. For years, the world accepted the story of infidelity and diverging careers. But the truth, as Demi Moore finally revealed, wasn't about another woman. The real betrayal was what she described as his deep-seated unease with her power.
Are you surprised, Bruce Willis?
Yes.
Yes, I knew he would be. I mean, even though I went over everything yesterday, I knew he'd forget.
In Inside Out, Demi paints a picture of a husband who was both her biggest supporter and her greatest critic. This contradiction blew up when she became the highest-paid actress in Hollywood, landing a record-breaking $12.5 million for striptease. This should have been a moment of shared triumph. Instead, it became a source of conflict. Demi felt that while the world celebrated her, her success was met with judgment at home. Every woman who's ever felt she had to play small for her partner will recognize that moment. According to marriage counselors, many women in Demi's position face this exact dilemma, whether to sacrifice themselves or their marriage. The true breaking point wasn't a loud fight. It was the quiet, devastating realization that the person who was supposed to be her rock was actually uncomfortable with her strength. According to Demi's memoir, he told her he wasn't sure he even wanted to be married anymore. That wasn't just doubt. That was demolition. The ultimate betrayal was realizing his love came with a condition, that she not shine so brightly she cast a shadow on him or his traditional idea of their family. In that moment of clarity, Demi Moore was faced with an impossible choice. She could shrink herself to fit into the box he wanted, or she could save herself. She chose herself. The divorce wasn't a surrender. It was an act of self-preservation. That moment forced Demi into an impossible choice. And the decision she made would change Hollywood forever, but their story didn't end there. In a move that stunned everyone, what they did after the divorce would become more legendary than their marriage. If you're finding this story as fascinating as we are, take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. When Demi Moore and Bruce Willis announced their divorce in 2000, Hollywood braced for a war. Instead, Bruce and Demi did something revolutionary. They chose peace. In her memoir, Demi proudly states, "It's a funny thing to say, but I'm very proud of our divorce." This is the key to their lasting bond. Both she and Bruce consciously decided to handle their separation with grace and put their children first.
I think that we did a magnificent job of making sure that our children knew they were loved.
Their daughter, Scout Willis, later said her parents set an example of how to handle everything with mutual respect. Rumor Willis echoed this, saying they were very much a family no matter what, and never had to choose between them. The result was a blended, supportive, post-divorce family, almost unheard of in Hollywood. When Demi married Ashton Kutcher, Bruce was supportive. When Bruce married Emma Hemming, Demi and her daughters were there to celebrate. Their tribe, as they called it, just kept growing. They spent holidays together, took family vacations, and even quarantined together during the 2020 pandemic. Demi wrote that after the divorce, they actually felt more connected than we did before. By getting rid of the pressures of marriage, they were free to become something else. The best of friends and devoted co-parents, they shocked Hollywood by choosing peace. But Demi's silence wasn't forgiveness, it was strategy. She was waiting for the right moment to finally tell her truth. For years, the world thought they knew why. But decades later, Demi revealed the truth in her memoir, and it was nothing like what fans imagined. For years, Demi Moore kept the full truth of her divorce to herself. Her memoir, Inside Out, was published in 2019, but it's in the years since, in the context of Bruce's health, that her reflections have taken on a new, poignant meaning. So why speak so candidly now? The answer seems to lie in forgiveness and perspective. She stayed silent for decades, but the betrayal still lingered, and when she finally spoke, the real story was nothing like the one fans thought they knew. Yet, even then, Demi stayed silent about the real betrayal, waiting until the time was right. Speaking out now isn't about rehashing old wounds. It's about telling her story from a place of healing. With Bruce's health challenges, what's left is the core of their connection. His diagnosis makes her revelations feel less like an accusation and more like a gentle, honest accounting, a way to own her truth while honoring the man she will always love. She has praised Bruce's wife, Emma Hemming Willis, for her grace in navigating this difficult journey as their entire blended family rallies around him. Telling the full story now is the final step in her own journey, an act of reclaiming her narrative with compassion and a profound appreciation for the man who will always be her family. In February 2023, the family shared the devastating news that Bruce's condition had progressed to frontotemporal dementia, a cruel, progressive disease with no cure. This diagnosis reshaped their world, and for Demi, it seems to have given her a new lens to look back on their past. Her recent interviews are no longer tinged with the pain of a lost marriage, but with a deep, compassionate understanding. Speaking about Bruce's condition, she has stressed the importance of meeting him where he is now, rather than clinging to the man he was. Suddenly, her revelations didn't sound like accusations. They sounded like closure. And when Bruce's devastating diagnosis became public, Demi's revelations suddenly took on a whole new meaning. The story of Demi and Bruce is a powerful reminder that relationships are complex and that endings are often just new beginnings. Today, Demi Moore is no longer known primarily as Bruce Willis's ex-wife. She's recognized as a woman who chose herself when it mattered most, transforming her pain into purpose through her honesty and grace. Bruce Willis may have been Hollywood's action hero, but Demi Moore proved the bravest role a woman can play is refusing to dim her own light. Their marriage ended in heartbreak, but their story became something bigger. A lesson in dignity, forgiveness, and the courage to stop dimming your light. Her divorce wasn't an ending. It was the moment she reclaimed her story. In the end, the breakup of Demi Moore and Bruce Willis's marriage was never about the tabloid headlines. It wasn't about cheating or the pressures of fame. It was about a woman's quiet, courageous decision to choose herself, realizing that love can't thrive when one person is expected to dim their light for the other's comfort. What makes their story so incredible isn't the drama of their split, but the extraordinary grace of what came after. They transformed the wreckage of a Hollywood divorce into a fortress of family, proving that love can change its shape without getting smaller. Through her honesty, Demi Moore didn't just rewrite her divorce story. She offered a powerful lesson in self-worth and the resilience of the human heart. Their journey shows that sometimes the most profound love is found not in a fairy tale marriage, but in an unwavering, lifelong commitment to family in whatever form it takes. So, was Demi right to walk away when she did? Or should she have stayed and fought for the marriage? Drop your take in the comments. Because this is one Hollywood divorce where everyone has an opinion. And if you found this story moving, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button.